Hello everyone, and thank you again for joining me for my persuasive speech for COM 101. My persuasive speech is over buying versus adopting your next pet. In my audience, I have Josh, Eric, my grandma Donna, my cousin Tiff, and Zach, and my sister Peyton, who is recording for me. Okay, so again, my speech is over buying versus adopting your next pet. Okay, so there comes a time in everyone's life where it's time to get a new furry friend and add them to your family. When you get a new pet, such as a dog or a cat, which we have plenty here, you can get them either one of two ways. You can either buy or adopt. If you buy your animal, you can buy them from a pet store, such as PetSmart or Petco, or you can buy them from a breeder that you find online, or you can buy them from one of your friends, or however you find dogs when you buy them, or you could adopt one from a shelter and give them a second chance in life. Many animals enter a shelter without hope of ever leaving. Thousands of dogs and cats are taken to shelters around the United States every day. Only about 25% of dogs and 24% of cats that are taken into the shelter are ever adopted. So that's only like 1/4 of all the animals that go to a shelter ever get adopted. So that leaves 15% of these animals that are taken to the shelter to be reunited with their original owners, and a whopping 64% of these millions of animals brought to a shelter that are tragically euthanized. So that means half of the animals that go to these shelters end up dying and never getting adopted or reunited with their family. So that's around 2.7 million adoptable dogs and cats that are euthanized every year in the U.S. simply because people give up their animals or they don't adopt. Because there is limited space in these shelters, some staff members have to make the very hard decision to euthanize these cute animals that have been accompanying their shelter for so long just because of lack of space. The number of animals that tragically have to get euthanized could be reduced dramatically if more people adopted versus buying your next animal. So when you think about it, when you go for adopting rather than buying, you're really saving two animals' lives. One, the animal that you just adopted, and the second one being the homeless animal somewhere who can be rescued because of the free space that you just freed up in that shelter. I think a major reason why people don't adopt and are apprehensive other than buying is simply because they think because they come from a shelter that they could be unhealthy or have just like a bad demeanor, which is completely untrue. Animal shelters are filled with happy, healthy little animals just waiting to find a good home. Most of the shelters examine and give vaccinations to the animals as soon as they bring them in. If the animal had any kind of injury or anything, it would be treated and it would help alleviate the pain. If they had to amputate a leg or remove a tooth, they would do that so it would be back into better health. Before adoption, the shelter also spays and neuters the animals. So that is just good to know that they're not going to go out and produce more animals that are going to be homeless. And also it's good for you because then you won't have to pay for it in the long run. Addition to the medical care that they receive at shelters, more shelters, more in big cities more or less than around here, but the bigger city shelters are also starting to screen the animals they bring in for specific temperaments and behaviors to make sure that each family will find the right pet for their lifestyle. So if they screen them for their things, they'll know if they're good with families or kids or cats or any other animals. So one of the main things is when you adopt a pet, you will also save money because it's typically less expensive to get a pet from a shelter rather than buy one from like a pet store, breeder, or anything like that. When you get an animal from the shelter, they are, again, typically spayed and neutered, and all their vaccines are up to date, which usually you only have to get your dogs like vaccinated once a year or stuff like that. So they'll be good for a year on all their vaccinations, which will also save you money. Adopting a pet, I think the most important thing about adopting a pet is it'll just make you feel better, knowing that you saved a pet's life. And I personally think that most shelter animals have a special dedication to you more than just any other dog because they're so grateful that they get a second chance in life. And I feel knowing you gave your pet a second chance in life is just a wonderful feeling because each day more and more shelter animals are put down. Every day, more and more. And knowing that you adopted just one of these animals and knowing that you helped make the little difference is totally worth it. So again, adopt rather than buy your next pet.